Governor, we're going to start with Sam in Titusville, and Sam asks a great question because this is a subject that I covered a hearing, I think it was last fall, on this issue. Sam writes, when is the state of Pennsylvania going to do something about our loss of volunteer firefighters? It's reached a severe point, and as a fire chief, I'm very worried. It's getting harder and harder to recruit young volunteer firefighters, and the existing firefighters, quite frankly, they've been doing it for decades. They're aging, and we're not replacing them fast enough.
Yeah, that's a big problem. I live in a town that has a volunteer fire department, and we have all been privileged to have that fire department in our community. It has
They're wonderful people.
Wonderful
to all
people.
the volunteer firefighters out there,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yeah, they do amazing service. And Sam's actually absolutely right. There has been, over the years, a decline in the number of people willing to volunteer. Actually, for that and for other things, I was chairman of the United Way in York County and chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, chairman of volunteer organizations, and it's harder and harder to get people to volunteer. So I think there are two things that I'm trying to do. One is to join Sam and others and say, our communities really have depended on volunteers, and we need to be able to continue to depend on those volunteers to fight fires, to do things in our schools, to help make our lives and communities better. And we need to I think talk that up. That's really been an important part of American life. And the second thing is, and I think you probably covered this, but there are some concrete things to have, service in volunteer fire companies, give some benefit in terms of tax credits or tax deductions for local taxes, which I signed into law last year. That's a small thing. There are private insurance companies that have made sure that in terms of health and life insurance, that volunteer firefighters have some benefits so that if something were to happen to them, their families are going to be cared for. I think there's some concrete things like that we can do. But again, Sam's right. What we need to do most is reignite that volunteer spirit in America and in Pennsylvania to get back to the point where when you live in a community, one of the expectations is that you sign up for things.
And if I can just go one step further and appeal to all non-volunteer firefighters out there, if you have a short list, whatever, of charities you give to every year, make your local volunteer fire department one of them. They really, really need the funding. Our next email is coming from Center County. Rachel?
Terrence in Pleasant Gap asks, when is the state of Pennsylvania going to outlaw texting and using of cell phones while driving a vehicle? I am tired of every day driving on major highways like Route 80 and Route 81 and having drivers on phones making calls and texting. It is so unsafe. They are as much, if not more, of a hazard than people driving under the influence of alcohol. They are not paying attention to driving.
They're also breaking the law.
They're breaking the law. Actually, texting is illegal.
Yep.
And I signed a bill that actually increases penalties for people who are driving while distracted. Texting is one of the reasons that leads to distraction. If you cause injury, the penalty is multiplied. At the cell phone level for individual drivers, that is not illegal. So you can actually call, but it is illegal for CDL drivers, commercial drivers, to phone, use a cell phone. You can talk hands free, but you can't use a cell phone. And state law enforcement officials around the country, as far as I know, do a pretty good job of enforcing that.
Yeah.
So texting is illegal, Terrence, in Pennsylvania. There are specific penalties if you text, but there are also multiplied penalties if you text, and that leads to human injury. And again, even cell phone usage is outlawed according to the commercial driver's license, federal motor carrier safety regulations.
And folks, just don't do it. Don't text, and,
Yeah.
and don't use a handheld cell phone. If you have to talk, make sure it's a hands-free device. But even talking on those can be a distraction as
pull
well.
off the side of the road.
Just don't do it.
The easiest thing is just pull off the side of the road, make your call, and it's something we need to stop.
Like Terrence, I see it a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
You see texting a lot?
I see texting a lot.
That's
What I
that's
assume is
illegal.
texting because the phone is up at eye level and I can see the thumb going. So, yeah, I see it. I see it. They're out there. And you can usually tell if you're behind someone and they're swerving, they're either drunk or they're texting. It's almost always one or the other. So,
And the thing is, if you are texting and it leads to an accident, as part
Yeah.
of the investigation, you can tell when you were texting.
Absolutely.
You can't say, hey, I wasn't texting. And then the time of the accident you were actually texting, that's incriminating.
the date time stamps
Right.
don't lie.